Hi everyone! So I get to talk about Electric Children today by Rebecca Thomas, which came out in 2012. I absolutely fell in love with this film when we watched it, so I am so happy I get to talk a little bit more about it. I love the whole aesthetic of it. I love the story. I love the characters. I think it's going to be one of my favorite films from now on, so let's get into it. For a little background and context, this film was directed and written by Rebecca Thomas, who was raised a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. She even served a mission in Japan. I read for this film that she wanted to adapt a scripture story into a film and kind of make a modern scripture retelling, and she especially loved the Virgin Mary story. And as we know, Electric Children is about Rachel, who feels that she became pregnant by listening to a rock song, and believes she became pregnant as of God's will through Immaculate Conception. So this is kind of a modern Virgin Mary retelling, if you will. Another thing I just kind of wanted to point out at the beginning was this idea of like Mormonism versus fundamentalist Mormonism, which I thought was so interesting, that this was a, mainstream Mormon take on a fundamentalist Mormon society. I feel like if anyone is ever being kind of viewed in the media or, described in the media, it's usually mainstream Mormons, but it was by people who aren't Mormon. But it was so interesting to see this kind of shift to instead a mainstream Mormon and her perspective of a different Mormon society. So that was just a really interesting kind of thought to me. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts about that, but if you do, let me know. So I wanted to take a moment and talk about this pivotal scene where Rachel is listening to the song on the cassette tape. And during this scene, the camera pedestals upward to show the full body experience that Rachel's having. And it starts at her feet and kind of pedestals upward to her head and her hands. And it's really reminiscent of when her mom is telling the story of the red Mustang and how, she kind of had this full body experience. Like, she's like, I felt it at my toes and through my fingertips. And we could see through the flashbacks that was because she was with a man. But this is really reminiscent of that, and Rachel kind of having the same full body experience by listening to this song. And this scene, I think that the lighting and the shadows really adds to the forbidden nature of the act that Rachel is committing through listening to this song on the cassette tape. And one thing I wanted to point out here was that something I actually read was that there are bruises shown here on Rachel's arms and in her legs at another point. You might not be able to see it because it's such a dark scene, but there are some bruises. And this might allude or be a clue to what actually happened to Rachel, and maybe an assault that she experienced that is the real reason that she might have gotten pregnant. I also wanted to touch upon some of the theories of humor. I thought this movie was so funny. I was laughing in so many parts. It's just kind of hilarious to me, just some of the things that they say. I feel like there's a lot of superiority theory because we're watching these two people that are so, far from our society and mainstream society try to function in a mainstream world, and there's just kind of a lot of funny situations that they get themselves into. So that's a big theory of humor here that I saw in the film, but there's also a lot of incongruity theory as well, just with them getting into, different sort of situations, such as juvenile hall and different things like that, or crashing a wedding. So I think there was a lot of incongruity theory going on as well. And for my connection, I actually thought of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. If anyone is unfamiliar with the show, it's about a girl named Kimmy who in her childhood was kidnapped and trapped in a bunker for years and as part of a doomsday cult. And she's finally freed and has to readapt to mainstream society. And years have passed, so it's kind of the same fish out of water situation as we see with Rachel, just within a different context. But thank you all for watching, and here are my questions, and I can't wait to see what you guys think about this film because I absolutely loved it. Thank you.